This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Stay tuned to the end to find out how you can build your own beautiful website. Yeah! So I used to buy this snack all the time in Japan. It's basically just like salt-flavored rice cracker. But there's always one thing that I'll never be able to get over. All of this plastic for this much food. And it's not even the worst culprit in Japan. I feel like online recently there's been a very noticeable change towards people being a lot more eco-friendly.
Plastic bags are no longer available.
Save 1.7 billion of them from ending up in landfill.
$1 for a reusable bag.
Plastic straw is being phased out at Starbucks.
You can't use plastic bags.
In general, I just feel as though people are a lot more self-conscious of single-use plastics. But in Japan, it's a whole nother story. Anyone who's visited before will know what I'm talking about. Straws are everywhere, individually wrapped snacks are custom, bento boxes are a standard lunch option, vending machines are on every corner, everything is wrapped, sometimes twice, and you're always offered a plastic bag at a convenience store, no matter how small your purchase. Someone posted on their blog recently that they once received a single strawberry as a gift, and it was wrapped with 5 individual pieces of packaging. It's not at all surprising that Japan comes in second in the world in the amount of per capita generation of single-use plastic trash. In fact, Japan produces more plastic per capita than all of China and the rest of Asia combined. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. So it's probably come to your attention that I'm currently outside my apartment right now, but I do actually really need to go grocery shopping. It's the middle of the day, I've got a mask. Hopefully it won't be too busy, we'll see. A lot of snacks especially, they'll sell it in a big pack of like 12, I guess, but each individual snack is wrapped in more plastic. It's insane. It's really, really insane. Why? All of this for 7 cherry tomatoes. Can't even make this shit up. For what purpose do you need to individually wrap a lime? Do people not have sinks at home? Can't they just wash their vegetables? So I've been thinking a lot recently about why this is still a thing in Japan. Like why are they still individually wrapping bananas? And I've put it down to a few things. The first of which being convenience. It's pretty common knowledge at this point that Japan is king when it comes to convenience. There's around 50,000 convenience stores and over 5 million vending machines in Japan. And in cities like Tokyo, when it's got a really high population density, even in really quiet areas, there's no lack of customers. A lot of those people are commuting to work and they're staying there for really long hours. So it's actually pretty common for business people to buy their lunch and dinner from a convenience store rather than making it at home and then bringing it to work. Most large train stations will also sell a large variety of bento boxes, which is kind of like a Japanese lunch box, I guess. And they sell them specifically for people that are going to be riding on the Shinkansen or the bullet train. So it's become somewhat of a tradition in Japan. If you take a stroll through any Japanese supermarket, you'll notice one very obvious thing. The serving sizes are so small. This is the largest carton of milk, the largest loaf of bread, and the largest tub of yogurt I could find in my supermarket. Some items that would normally be in a can or a jar is instead in smaller plastic bags, and even items that could have been sold in a larger can for a larger serving size is instead sold in the same small size cans as before, but just grouped together by plastic. And by now it's probably no secret that the serving sizes in Japan are a lot smaller than they'd be in like the US, for example, and there's a number of different reasons for that, which I won't get into here, but one of the main reasons is that Japanese kitchens are generally quite small. I mean, they don't always have the space to store like large cans of food or giant boxes of cereal, so the smaller sizes just work better for them. I find that when I'm in Australia, I only need to go grocery shopping like once every 2 weeks maybe, but in Japan it's like twice a week at least. But convenience stores and supermarkets are everywhere here, so it's not like it's a big deal anyway. So convenience wins again, I guess. Another reason that I could find for all the packaging that stems from their culture is that in some cases the packaging becomes part of the presentation. Wrapping one strawberry in silicone padding inside of a clear plastic case lined with decorative paper makes the strawberry seem like it's in pristine condition, exclusively handpicked, and extremely hygienic. All of the things that would justify the probable $10 price tag. I don't actually know how much it is, I'm just assuming, but honestly it wouldn't surprise me if it costs like 1,000 yen for that one strawberry.
We consider wrapping a part of the product. Of course, it's good to cut down on plastic bag use, but we can't hand customers a hot lunchbox or cold ice cream without a bag. That would be unhygienic and very rude.
Just like Shimamura-san mentioned, hygiene also plays a large role in Japanese society. The trains are shockingly clean, people wear face masks even if they're not sick, and hand sanitizer is available at most businesses, even before everything was going on right now. This is why single-use plastics like spoons, chopsticks, and straws are nearly always also wrapped in plastic. And don't even get me started on the plastic bags. I mentioned in my Japan bingo card video that it's very uncommon to not receive a plastic bag at a convenience store, but it wasn't just there as a joke. In Japan in 2016, 30.5 billion shopping bags were consumed in the year, but this is only accounting for large shopping bags given at supermarkets, so once you account for the convenience store bags, the number is over 450 per person per year. And if you can't do the maths already, that's more than one bag a day. Approximately 967 shopping bags are used every second in Japan, and in the time it took me to finish that sentence, 4,835 bags were used. But Hannah, isn't Japan like really good at recycling though? Well, let's discuss, shall we? So right now, Japan claims that their recycling rate for all the end-of-life plastics is at a high of 85%, which sounds pretty good, right? But recycling doesn't always mean what you think it does. According to the State Minister for the Environment, Minoru Kiyuchi-san, around 65% of all the recycled plastic in Japan is burned for energy, and only around 27% of it is actually recycled into other things. So that's what they mean when they say recycling. And all of these stats are at least a couple of years old. It's actually kind of really difficult to find like up-to-date statistics on this, but this is what we've got for now. Along with recycling, Japan, like most countries, exports a lot of their waste to overseas countries. In 2017, Japan generated around 9 million tons of waste, and about 10% of that they sent to China, which makes up for about 70% of all of their exported waste. But in the same year, China actually decided to ban all imports of waste because they were trying to remove as much pollution from the recycling process as possible. So Japan was left with all of this extra waste and they had to find something else to do with it. So instead they sent it to countries like Indonesia and Vietnam, but they're already dealing with their own plastic pollution problem. Indonesia is second only to China when it comes to dumping waste into the ocean. An estimated 3.22 million metric tons of waste is thrown into the ocean per year around Indonesia, and an extra 1.83 million metric tons of waste is found around the ocean in Vietnam. If things continue to go as they are, by 2050, it's expected that there'll be more plastic in the ocean than there is fish. But hey, at least the Japanese government announced they're going to make the Olympic medals out of recycled material. Groundbreaking. Okay, but in all seriousness, they are doing a little bit more than that, but that was the only story that was catchy enough to make it onto my Facebook timeline. In 2018, the government came up with a new strategy to reduce the amount of plastic by 25% by 2030. One of those measures was by asking grocery stores, very politely, mind you, to start charging people for plastic bags. So they've done a similar thing in so many countries around the world, but in Australia, I think they charge, it's like at least 20 cents, but I think it's either 20 cents or $2, I can't remember. Usually it's a much thicker bag and you're supposed to be able to reuse it multiple times. But in Japan, it's the same regular thin plastic bag as always, and it costs a whopping 2 cents. And most of the time they don't even ask you if you want a bag, they just add it automatically until you tell them specifically, no, I don't need a bag. So in a regular grocery shop, this is generally what I would buy. Mostly vegetables, bit of tofu and a couple of cans. These are the only things that weren't covered in plastic. And of the few vegetables that I found that didn't have any plastic on it, despite having a no plastic bag sign that I put on my basket, she still put it inside an extra bag, including this bunch of lettuce is already wrapped in plastic. I can't make this shit up. As for the convenience stores, well, 7-Eleven announced that they would completely switch to biodegradable bags by 2030. Lawson aims to halve the use of plastic bags at the register by 2030 and will switch to plastic bags made from sugarcane at certain locations. And Family Mart has already cut their usage by about 30% since the year 2000 by using thinner bags.
Oh damn, that is thin.
Okay, look, honestly, it's great that they're trying to make changes like this, and I'm not just going to completely disregard all of their efforts because, like, oh, they're still individually wrapping bananas, ugh. Because, like, yeah, obviously for someone like you or I, wrapping a banana seems kind of unnecessary and it seems like an obvious thing to cut out, but I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, I might not have even noticed. Like, it's really only been because of the recent push that I see on social media and from big supermarkets making hard, fast rules like cutting plastic bags completely, did I even care enough to make this video in the first place? And drawing inspiration from my previous video that I just did about like the psychology of panic buying, which you should totally go watch if you haven't seen that already. Humans are incredibly social beings and we rely on everyone else's actions to determine what we should do ourselves in so many different situations. And for most people, we only start to make these big, inconvenient lifestyle switches, like completely cutting out plastic bags, when you see other people doing it first. So while on one hand it sucks when someone like roasts you for taking a plastic bag from a convenience store, but on the other hand, next time you go, you're probably a lot less likely to get it. I do also want to make clear that I'm not saying that we should all just go zero plastic, zero waste and just like live out of a jar like that one person did. Obviously these changes have to be very, very slow and they're going to cost a lot of money, and also there is a lot to be said for the alternatives for plastic, and sometimes it's not as effective and sometimes it's even worse for the environment than regular plastic. So if you would like a more nuanced approach to that kind of side of plastic pollution, definitely go and check out Kurzgesagt's, I hope I'm saying that right, Kurzgesagt's video on plastic pollution. It's probably the most well-researched, well-rounded, informative video that you could watch on the topic. So all in all, changes are going to be slow, and especially in Japan, a lot of things are very slow. But I have started to notice a slight push towards being more eco-friendly. Do I wish that Japan would do more? Yes, of course I do. But big decisions like that won't happen unless there's support and encouragement from other people to make it so. So even though right now only 10% of people surveyed in Japan said that they would even consider eliminating plastic bags in the future, that doesn't mean that it can't change. So living in Japan and seeing the attitude towards plastics, it can be incredibly disheartening, and it can be easy to lose motivation to even care. And like, honestly, even making this video, it was just frustrating as all hell because I've become so accustomed to just being completely numb to it all, because it can feel stupid for caring when it just feels like nobody else does. But 10 years ago, nobody cared. And then one person did, and then another person did, and then a couple more people did. And now I care enough to make this video. So let's keep the butterfly effect going, the domino effect, the encouragement. I don't know. Look, I haven't got a poignant point to end this video on, but nevertheless, I hope that you enjoyed it and that it answered a couple of your questions about plastic use in Japan specifically. I love making these kinds of videos, and I find that they're so much more creatively fulfilling for me, but they do take a lot longer for me to make. So I'm incredibly thankful for my patrons. Thank you for supporting me so much. If you would like to go and see extra content, live streams, and all of my videos earlier before anyone else does, go to patreon.com/currentlyhannah. And I am also incredibly thankful in times like this for companies like Squarespace to be sponsoring me. So there will be some bloopers coming up in just a second, but first a word from our sponsor, Squarespace. So if you've ever thought about starting your own business or just having a website to do whatever you want with it, I can highly recommend using Squarespace to do it. They are so incredibly easy to use. They really care about the product that they put out, and they care about the customers that are using the site. I have got my own Squarespace site. It took me about an hour to put up, and I love the way that it looks. I really do believe that it's increased my online presence, and it's really just made me look a lot more professional online. All of their templates are incredibly beautiful and sophisticated. You just need to type in the kind of site that you want to be making, choose the one that you like, and then replace all of the photos with whatever you want to put on it. They've got something for everyone, whether you're a photographer or someone who's putting up a portfolio, you're starting a business, a blog, just a personal page, whatever you want it to be. There are so many options for you there. Their customer service is beautiful. It is a chef's kiss. I've had a problem on my site solved in the same day because their customer service is top notch. If you've seen my videos before, you know that I love Squarespace. They've been a long-time sponsor on this channel, and I'm incredibly thankful to have them here. So if you would like to start your own website for whatever reason, go to squarespace.com, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/currentlyhannah for 10% off your first purchase of a domain or a website. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I love you so much. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And now it's time for some bloopers. Enjoy. Okay, here we go. Take one. Let's try not to fuck it up too much, because Lord knows you always do. So I feel like I already fucked it up. Nice. I mentioned in my Japan bingo video card. What? I mentioned in my Japan bingo card video. Yes, much to think about. But Hannah, isn't Japan like really good at recycling? Oh my God. Oh, a line of sweat just like dripped down my back. Delicious. They're already dealing with their own plastic pollution problem. Oh, alliteration. By 2050, it's expected that there's going to be more fish in the ocean than there is people, probably. One of those smashes. And previous video that I just did about the psychology. Friends changed their ass lele. Eat these at the next party I go to in 4 years. Oh, it's see-through. It's kind of disgusting. I'm very impressed. Some ASMR for ya. Some global warming ASMR, how about that? Oh, where did you go? Oh, there you are. Don't mind if I do.